All right, guys, let's do this review for test 11. The first one, find a positive and negative angle coterminal to 5 pi over 3. Remember, that's same spot, different measure. So you're going to add and subtract 2 pi. The best way to do that is to change, our denominator is 3. Just double the denominator, gives you 6 over 3. That's 2 pi. Just add the 5 and 6. One angle is 11 pi over 3. To do a negative one, I'm going to subtract the 6 pi over 3. And it's going to give me negative 1 pi over 3. So there's one positive, one negative that are coterminal. So in radians, instead of adding or subtracting 360, we add or subtract 2 pi. But this one says convert 140 to radians, leave in terms of pi. So when we do this, we're going to take the 140, divide it by 180, put a pi with it. Just reduce that fraction. You can do that on a calculator. You can punch 140 over 180. Reduce it, you're going to get 7/9, so it's really 7 pi over 9. Number 3, convert that to degrees. Remember, pi radians is 180 degrees. So I'm just going to substitute the 180 where the pi is, work that out, and I'm getting 240 degrees. And the funny thing is this next one says negative 240 degrees to radians. Well, I'm going to do the work, but if you look at the last answer, it was 240 degrees. When you convert to radians, same thing we did in number 2, really. Divide by 180 and put a pi with it. Just reduce that. You get negative 3. I just said it was easy because I just did it. It's negative 4 pi over 3. Good night. Made that worse than it was. Number 5, in a circle with a radius of 140, an arc subtends, which means it has an arc. It makes an arc of 180 from an angle of how many radians? Okay, remember the formula for radians. The way you do radians is S over R. S stands for arc length. The arc length this time is 180. The radius is R, that's 140. So you get, let's see here, 9 over 7. If you punch that in, you're going to get 1.286 radians is the angle measure. Number 6, find the complement and supplement. Okay, if you haven't noticed yet, it's really the same test as last week, except it's radians instead of degrees. So the complement, last week we did 90 degrees minus the angle. Now we're going to do pi over 2 because pi over 2 is 90 degrees minus pi over 6. You need a common denominator here. Pi over 2 is really 3 pi over 6. Think about it. 3/6 is really 1/2. Minus 1 pi over 6. I get 2 pi over 6. If you reduce that, you get pi over 3. That's the complement. Supplement, normally I do 180 minus the angle, but 180 in radians is pi. So I'm doing pi minus pi over 6. 1 is really 6 over 6 minus 1 pi over 6. That's going to give me 5 pi over 6. There's the supplement. 7 and 8, find the reference angle in the actual measure. First of all, the reference angle for number 7 is 30 degrees because 330 is 30 away from 360. Cosine of 30 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. You can use your finger trick I taught you, unit circle, but it's going to be square root of 3 over 2. Because it's in quadrant 4, cosine is positive in quadrant 4, so that's it. Number 8, same deal. The reference angle is again 30 degrees because negative 210 is 30 degrees away from 180. And so I'm really thinking about what's sine 30. Okay, so the finger thing or whatever you want to do, sine 30 is 1/2. But negative 210 is in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is also positive for y, so we're good. It stays positive. Number 9, a little tricky here. Be careful. Number 9, the negative 2 goes for everything inside. So I'm going to do negative 4. Don't forget the whole negative 4. The negative gets squared. The 4 gets squared. Multiply your exponents. You get those. So you're done except for that crazy negative 4. Now, the negative 4 to the negative 2 power means you got to do 2 things. You have to square it and flip it. So if I square it, I'm going to get 16. If I flip it, it's going to the denominator, and that's all you got to do. Just did number 9. Number 10, factor, slide, divide, slide again. Going to keep drilling that in your head. If I slide the 6 times 5 is 90. Got to find factors of 90 that differ by 1. It's going to be 10 and 9. Now once you get that, now you divide. Okay, so I'm dividing by 6. I'm going to come over here. Reduce those fractions. 10/6 is really 5/3. 9/6 is really 3/2. And then to finish up, just slide. Okay, the 3 slides back in front of the x, and the 2 slides back in front of the x. And you can check that, guys, if you just want to do FOIL method and just check what you got. Number 11, 2 radicals multiplied. You're allowed to multiply radicals. So I'm going to get 2 times 6, x squared, y squared. Now, couple things here. You got to break down the 12. 12 is really square root of 4 times square root of 3. Square root of 4 is 2. It's coming out. Square root of 3, I don't know. It's staying in. And then the index right there is 2. You just divide 2 into your exponents. So 2 goes into 2 one time. You pull out 1x. 2 goes into 2 one time. You pull out 1y. Guys, there you go. Number 12. I've seen this problem a couple of times now. The world's long zip line problem. You know it's going to be, these are, anytime you see angle of depression or elevation, you know it's going to be right triangle problems. So go ahead and draw my right triangle. That's not a very good one. The zip line is 54.95. The zip line definitely goes diagonally. That's your hypotenuse. The vertical drop is 13.20. The vertical drop is right there. You remember, your angle of depression or elevation always touches the horizontal. So the horizontal line's right there. And because I have opposite and hypotenuse, I'm going to do sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. I'm going to punch that in. And when I punch that in, I'm getting 13.9 degrees. All right, use your calculator to find sine 54 and cosine 49.5. For sine 54, guys, we're just going to punch straight in sine 54 degrees. For cosecant, your calculator doesn't do cosecant, and it's not inverse sine or second sine. You're going to punch it in this way, 1 over sine 49.5. So I'm going to go punch those in real quick and write the answers right away. Sine 54, I'm getting 0.8090. We need to go 4 decimal places. And for the second one, I'm getting 1.3151 when I round it. Okay, hadn't done these gestures in a while. Hope the review helped you today. But number inside shifts your graph left to right, opposite of what you think. So that's going to be a shift to the left by 5 because it's opposite of what you think. This one, 15's got two things going on. It's got a negative in the front. That means it reflects across the x axis. Also, there's a 4 inside, multiply, and it's bigger than 1. Okay, so that means there's a horizontal shrink by the reciprocal. So I'm going to put by 1/4. And 16. 16 has a 1/3 in the front. That's a vertical shrink by 1/3. And it's a shift. Because there's a 3 inside, as that is subtracted, it's a shift opposite of what you think. It's a shift right 3. That's all those. Inverse, 17. Inverse, take your x and y's, switch them, and get the y by itself. So there's a switch. Move the 2 over, then move the 5 over. We're going to divide both sides by 5. Don't forget to replace that y with inverse of f. 18, f minus g of 2. So best thing you do here is take 2, plug it in both of them. If I plug 2 into f, that's going to be 2 squared, which is 4 minus 2. That's 2. And if I plug 2 into g, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. I'm going to do 2 minus 7 because it says f minus g. I get negative 5, all there is to it. F times g of 3, same thing. Plug 3 in. If I plug 3 in this first function, 9 minus 7, sorry, 9 minus 2 is 7. If I plug 3 into the second one, 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. 7 times 10 is 70. 20, same deal, plug 3 in again. I've already done that once. And so when I plug 3 into F, I got 7. When I plug in G, I got 10. So it's just 7/10. Okay, 21 through 24. Here we go. Tangent 30. You can use your fingers if you need to. Tangent sine over cosine or y over x. Tangent 30 degrees would be the sine of 30 degrees is a half. The cosine is square root of 3 over 2. Those cancel. You get 1 over the square root of 3. And if you fix that, you get square root of 3 over 3. 22 tangent 45. Again, sine over cosine. You get the exact same thing over the exact same thing. That's 1. Secant 240. Don't do that. I'm going to do cosine 240. So I'm finding the reference angle. The reference angle is 60. So I'm trying to think, what is cosine 60? It's 1/2. But I'm looking for secant, so I'm going to flip it. But also think about what quadrant we were in. We're in quadrant 3. Cosine is negative in quadrant 3, so is secant. This one, the same deal. Find the reference angle. The reference angle for 135 is 45. The reciprocal of cosecant sine. So I'm thinking sine 45, which is this, square root 2 over 2. But I'm looking for cosecant, so I've got to flip that. So I'm turning that over. Move the square root of 2 up, take it out on the bottom, the 2's cancel. I get square root of 2, but you got to think about what quadrant you're in. 135 is quadrant 2. Sine is positive in quadrant 2, so it stays positive. And 25, the last one, find cotangent. That's just punching it in the calculator again. So I'm actually going to punch this 1 over tangent of 145.6 because the calculator does not do cotangent. I'm going to see what I get right here. All right, I'll work that out. I get a negative 1.4604. And there you have it. Hope that helps. I hope you know it pretty well because it's got 25 problems, a little bit more than usual, but they're pretty quick. The first part of the test is really quick. The last part's really quick. A little bit of work in the middle. But I hope it helps. See you tomorrow. Make 100.